The game of life takes on new dimensions when you play with the killers of the skies, raptors, the birds of prey. They're designed to deal the card of death with speed, stealth, and surprise. They're at the pinnacle of aeronautical design. Enter a world where assassins approach from all angles, and where evolution has etched out perfection. To win the game, learn the secrets of nature's air force. Raptors make up 10% of all bird species. They're found all over the planet. And 3 species, the barn owl, osprey and peregrine, are more widely spread than any other bird. All 1,000 species of raptor are based on a simple design, incorporating a muscular body, powerful wings, strong talons, telescopic eyes, and stereoscopic ears. When evolution demands speed, power, accuracy, or stealth, the result is nature's air force. It's a basic design refined into a wide variety of creatures, the fastest animals on Earth. A peregrine falcon can fly at nearly 400 kilometers an hour. Hollow bones reduce its weight and increase speed. The G-forces are incredible, and science has yet to explain how it can survive as it turns. All birds of prey have eyes 3 times more acute than ours, and some are even better. By night, owls only require 1% of the light needed by humans. Their huge eyes are densely packed with light-sensitive cells, and their ears can pinpoint sounds in just 100 microseconds. In the air, death can approach from any angle, and its victim knows nothing until it's too late. Take to the skies and meet nature's air force, the fastest killers on Earth. In the Highlands of Scotland lives one of the most magnificent creatures in the world, the golden eagle. He's equipped with a formidable arsenal of weapons. His powerful hooked beak, sharp claws, and muscular body only hint at the raw energy he can unleash. Impressive at rest, his true potential is only seen when he takes to the skies. Wings spanning 2.5 meters allow him to surf rising currents of air rushing up the mountainside, and motor at over 100 kilometers an hour. But his secret weapon is his eyes. A special area in their center magnifies the image he sees. From over 2 kilometers above, he can spot a white snow hare against a white snow mountain. The hare moves swiftly over the uneven ground, but the eagle is faster. The hare's only chance is to outmaneuver the eagle, and at the last second, it twists away. By slowing down the film you can see, the eagle's bulk and the speed he's coming in at mean he can't turn in time. He loops around to attack for a second time. Eyes locate the target, and final adjustments are made. With a flash of his wings and flick of his talons, the eagle has landed. It's a textbook assassination. The hare kicks one last time as the eagle's talons squeeze the air from its lungs. In a hair's breath, it's suffocated to death. The eagle's hooked beak rips strips of flesh from the carcass. Death for the hare will mean life for the eagle. He can carry food to his mate, who needs to increase her weight if she's to produce healthy eggs. Like most birds of prey, Scottish golden eagles return to the same nest sites year after year. It's not unusual for nests to grow so large that they break the tree in which they stand. Some nests can be 5 meters tall, and this one is over 100 years old. It's May, and the golden eagles have chicks. Since the largest birds of prey take the longest time to raise their young, golden eagles start breeding early in the year. This also means that prey is plentiful by the time their chicks hatch. Already burdened with providing food for his mate, the male must now hunt even harder and longer to provide food for 3 hungry mouths. He brings prey to the nest and tears it up for his young. As time passes, the leaves of the forest turn from brown to green, but the nest must be kept camouflaged. Both parents continually break off branches and carry them back to the nest. Late February on the Arctic coast of northwest Norway. It's a time and place where the weather is hostile to all life. Fierce currents driven by winds and tides well up from the deep fjords, sweeping fish to the surface so quickly that their swim bladders are ruptured. Helpless and dying, these Norwegian haddock are swept to the shore by prevailing winds, where scavengers await. As many as 50 white-tailed sea eagles, the 4th largest eagle in the world, come here to feed. To survive such harsh conditions, each sea eagle must consume 600 grams of fish every day. They're normally solitary, but now they're driven together by the concentration of food and the punishing cold of long Arctic nights. The sea eagle is at the pinnacle of raptor evolution. It's huge. An adult female stands over 1 meter high. She has piercing yellow eyes, strong, powerful talons and razor-sharp claws. Her beak is like a meat cleaver. And her wingspan, nearly 2.5 meters. Sea eagles are formidable hunters, able to catch prey as large as an Arctic fox. They soar on winds that sweep up the sides of the fjords, and their eyes can penetrate the surface of the water to see the fish below. They attack with a shallow dive. Dying fish make an easy meal for the eagles, which is just as well. Surviving in Arctic conditions requires a lot of energy, and that means catching a lot of fish. Like all birds of prey, sea eagles are wary. They've inherited this sense of caution from long experience, having suffered ruthless persecution at the hands of Norwegian fishermen who saw them as competitors. For years, they were treated as vermin, to be trapped and destroyed. Recently, a more enlightened attitude has prevailed, and breeding success has increased their numbers significantly. Come spring, and another of nature's air force is patrolling the Scottish valleys. The osprey left the previous autumn to feed in Africa, but now it's returned to breed. The osprey is a fishing bird, hovering over the water to track its prey. It's the largest bird in the world that can hover like this. It dives down feet first in search of pike, trout, salmon or eels. As the osprey enters the water, its wings fold back, and its feet thrust forwards to grab the fish. This time it was lucky, but ospreys are only successful in 1 out of every 6 dives. It may take 2 hours to make a successful dive, so while the male is fishing, his mate is doing nest repairs. Ospreys start to breed at 3 years old and mate for life, returning to the same nests each year. The male provides for the whole family, his egg burdened mate being too heavy to hunt. And in any case, as nest sites are passed on from generation to generation, now's the time for her to be spring cleaning. Ospreys were once heavily persecuted in Scotland, and by the 1920s they were extinct. But in the 1950s, breeding pairs coming in from Scandinavia began to recolonise the area. They'd been accidentally swept west during their spring migration from Africa, and their numbers have continued to increase. There are now over 100 pairs in Scotland. Good nest sites are much sought after, so the pair must fend off intruders with special calls and aggressive aerial displays. Alerted by the female's calls, her partner storms in, and the battle for the skies begins. The battle is in earnest. With 5 months invested in breeding each year, the resident male must make sure he passes on his genes. One way to make sure you're the father is to mate as frequently as possible, up to 200 times in the 3 weeks prior to egg laying. And as a shortage of food would make the mate unreceptive, he must also weigh the risk of being absent whilst hunting against the advantage of being near the nest to see off rival males. When catching fish, ospreys keep their head aligned with their talons. This ensures the prey is kept on target. Their eyes have special polarizing filters, so they can see through the reflective surface of the water. To hold on to prey, their feet have been greatly modified. Their front toes are reversible and act like a human thumb, and the surface of their feet is as rough as sandpaper. Ospreys close their nostrils as they enter the water, diving a metre below the surface. Once a fish is caught, it has little chance of escape. They're so supremely well adapted to catching fish that they can be found all over the world and hunt equally well in seas, rivers or lakes. On occasion, they'll even catch small mammals, birds and reptiles too. But fish are the mainstay of their diet. Ospreys are uniquely well adapted to digest fish. They're so good at it that they rarely regurgitate pellets of waste bones or scales, as other birds of prey must do. Each adult osprey must consume up to 400 grams of fish per day. And as food is also brought back for chicks at the nest, this hunter has its work cut out. It's now June, and the chicks are 6 weeks old. They offer hope for the continuing survival of the species. Since the 1950s, Scotland's ospreys have been a success story. They're an international example of what can be done, given enough motivation, to bring a species back from the brink of extinction. Almost all animals time their breeding for when prey is in abundance. Raptors are no exception. It may seem unusual for a bird of prey to hunt insects. But these European hobbies have evolved to hunt on the wing. They specialise in trawling for dragonflies, at times hunting little else. The hobby's long, pointed wings create the speed required to chase small, fast and manoeuvrable prey in open country. In slow motion, you can see how the bird keeps its eyes on the prize as its talons extend for the catch. Dragonflies may seem like an unusual diet for such a nimble hunter, but they provide easy, abundant pickings in the skies over these heathland ponds. As insect numbers decline later in the summer, hobbies will switch their attentions to larger prey, like woodland birds. But for now, the pickings are easy. Insects don't just attract the attention of birds of prey. They also provide food for millions of songbirds, which in turn attract highly specialised killers. Sparrowhawks. Found all over the world, these woodland hawks have short wings and long tails to manoeuvre more swiftly through branches than their prey. The agile male does most of the hunting early in the breeding season. and calls the female off the nest to receive her portion of food. She's much bigger than him, and intriguingly, the faster the prey on which sparrowhawks feed, the more pronounced is this difference in size. As a result, between them they're able to hunt a wide range of prey. It's an aerobatic exchange of food. Take a look again. One call and the female flies in, and the male drops the prize into her talons. It's a beautifully choreographed aerial display, and it looks like the female was pleased with her gift. The male flies off in search of prey once more. The survival of these chicks depends not just on the male being a good hunter, but on the abundance of songbirds in these summer woods. The goshawk is another woodland killer. It's the largest of the world's true hawks. A bigger version of the sparrowhawk, the goshawk kills bigger prey. It explodes from dense woodland cover. With wingtips slightly narrower than the sparrowhawk's, it's an expert glider. Timing is everything. The goshawk tracks every move of its quarry. They're incredible hunters, even knocking large birds like crows and pigeons out of the air. It's a close match. Predator and prey the same size by weight. But this time, the rabbit is history. The goshawk drives its talons in hard. The rabbit will suffocate to death. From the largest hawk to the smallest falcon, the merlin is a tiny hunter, about the size of your hand. But it's a fast and ruthless killer of small birds. The male does most of the hunting during the mating season, passing prey to the female in a ritual which suggests that if he doesn't get it right, there's some risk to his health. The female has a small rock on which to pluck the prey before delivering it to her chick. Merlins normally nest on the ground, but this old crow's nest seems to provide an alternative. Unfortunately, merlins are in decline worldwide thanks to the loss of suitable habitat in which to live. These unspoilt upland valleys in Scotland are important hunting grounds, but they're being destroyed for agriculture. Birds of prey illustrate more dramatically than any other animal the impact of humans on the environment. But ironically, it was man who made these open hillsides in the first place. By cutting down trees, we created an ideal habitat for long-winged falcons. The fastest killers in the skies can be spectacular acrobats. And April is the time for one of the biggest show-offs to strut her stuff. This dancer is about to take centre stage. She's a hen harrier. She climbs and tumbles to mark out a territory. The sprig of heather she's carrying is an indication of her readiness to mate. Female hen harriers live longer than males, and they outnumber them too. So in hen harrier society, it's the female who must attract a partner. And she may have to share him with others too, but at least by sharing him, she'll raise a few chicks. It's better than none at all. Such flashy displays can attract less welcome attention too. Another raptor, the peregrine falcon. Skirmishes between harriers and falcons are seldom serious. They don't compete for the same food and are too evenly matched to kill each other. This is probably just a warning to say, keep off my patch. The felling of forests in Scotland has encouraged heather to grow and grouse to breed. The perfect quarry for one of the world's most supreme hunting machines. An awesome killer, this is the jet fighter of nature's air force. The peregrine falcon, the fastest animal on Earth. The secret to its speed is in the design of its wings. The feathers are tightly packed, so the wings are incredibly smooth. With reduced friction and drag, speed is increased. In addition, with its wings swept back, the bird actually produces thrust during its dives, propelling it forwards like a jet fighter. A swooping peregrine, helped by the force of gravity, has been clocked at over 400 kilometers an hour. It's a masterpiece of aerodynamic design and unstoppable in the air. Once spotted, prey is doomed. Like most birds of prey, the peregrine's eyes can magnify light, and it can see its prey from as far as 8 kilometers away. Even at full speed, the quarry remains in sharp focus. Speed, accuracy, power, the peregrine dominates the skies. By the time the grouse is aware of the falcon, it's way too late. One hit from the peregrine, and the grouse is dead. Its head knocked clean off by the force of impact. It'll provide a vital meal for the falcon's young. Back at the nest, the peregrine's chicks are preparing for their first flight. Even at this early age, their hunting potential is obvious. To encourage the chicks to fly, the adults prepare their food within view. Then they leave it some distance away from them. Day after day they increase this distance, forcing the chicks to become stronger flyers, or starve. It's first come, first served. Feeding alongside the adults also teaches the young table manners, peregrine style, whilst competition encourages them to be more aggressive. They soon learn that training for a life in the sky is the key to their survival. There's another group of aerial killers, the stealth bombers of nature's air force. With hooked beak and sharp eye, they epitomise raptor adaptation. The owls. They're found all over the world, and despite first appearances, there are great similarities between owls and other birds of prey. Like all members of the raptor family, the flattened face of the short-eared owl maximises hearing and vision, essential aids to its mode of hunting. Short-eared owls feed their chicks on small rodents like voles, so owls are only common when voles are plentiful. Since vole numbers vary from year to year, the short-eared owl has adopted a flexible breeding pattern. The chicks in this nest are all of different ages, and for a very good reason. Birds that depend on fluctuating food supplies often lay large clutches of eggs. As these eggs are laid over several weeks, and incubation begins at the time the first egg is laid, short-eared owl chicks hatch in succession. When food is in short supply, the youngest, smallest chicks won't be able to compete with their older siblings and will die. But when voles are plentiful, all may survive. In a good year, as many as a dozen chicks will be raised. But when vole numbers decline, the adults become nomadic, wandering the uplands in search of other prey. This year, there's no shortage. But nesting on the ground has its dangers. Predators like the fox and crow are a daily hazard. When the owl isn't hunting, it's standing guard. Dusk, and in the lowland woods of England, the night shift is about to take over. This is a hunter designed for darkness. At twilight, the tawny owl uses its large round eyes to spot prey like this wood mouse. But when blackness shrouds the land, the owl relies on its ears to pinpoint the distance, direction, size, shape, and even species of prey. It's designed for silent killing. tawny owls float down on ghostly wings, and it's goodnight mouse. This must surely be one of the most beautiful hunters in nature, the barn owl. It's one of the most widely distributed and reclusive birds in the world. From secret corners, the waking owl sails over the English meadows. The barn owl relies on its remarkable ears when hunting. It can pick up the subtlest sound and pinpoint its source with incredible accuracy. Mice, shrews, and voles are the owl's main prey. Because the owl's flight is almost silent, it can easily get within striking distance. Its prey will never know it's being stalked by the white shroud of death. The barn owl's superior sound location system relies on two oval depressions of tightly packed feathers above its beak. These funnel sounds in, the same way that a satellite dish concentrates radio waves. In addition, the owl's ears are asymmetrical, the right ear higher than the left. This tells the owl whether prey is above or below. By comparing the sounds received in each ear, owls can determine the position of prey to within a whisker. They catch prey with their feet, then rapidly dispatch it with a few well-placed bites to the neck. The English kestrel's traditional hunting grounds used to be the rich meadows favoured by barn owls. Much of this land has been altered so drastically by farming that kestrels have been forced to adapt. Forget the noise and annoyance of the combine harvester. Today you're most likely to see a kestrel hunting along roadsides. Hovering is an ideal way to search the verges for mice, voles, worms or beetles. And thanks to their habit of hunting along roads, varied diet, and general adaptability, the kestrel has become one of Europe's most common birds of prey. It's even taken to city living. Lofty window ledges replace cliff faces, and even the smallest park has a songbird or two on which to feed. The kestrel has become an urban falcon, streetwise in the heart of London and many other cities the world over. Death comes in many forms. In the winter, cold can be a killer. Many birds of prey exploit the misfortunes that befall other animals. The red kite forages for flesh, cruising the skies for carrion. It spotted a dead hare, the victim of freezing overnight temperatures. Magpies and crows may have got there first, but they'll wait for the kite to butcher the flesh before joining the feast. A shy bird, the kite waits to be sure it's safe before coming down. Like an eagle, its hooked beak is an ideal butcher's tool. Red kites were once widespread, even scavenging scraps from the streets of London. But persecution brought them close to extinction, and they're only just recovering. Tags on their wings help identify these birds, so that a track can be kept on their progress. With winter taking hold of the northern hemisphere, many birds of prey head south for the sun, travelling along traditional migration routes. Islamic prayer calls echo over Istanbul. Once the capital of two empires, it's a city bridging Europe and Asia, separated by a thin strip of water, the Bosphorus. Overhead, birds of prey like this sparrowhawk are being driven south by the cold and lack of food. But flying long distances is tiring for any traveller. Whenever they can, they use thermals, columns of rising warm air, to gain height, rest, and conserve energy. But thermals are scarce over the sea, so the migrants make for narrow crossing points like this one. Autumn voyagers include these black storks from Poland, white storks from Germany, buzzards from Czechoslovakia, and sparrowhawks from Russia. This short-toed eagle is a snake hunter from Bulgaria, heading south for the hot African plains. This is a lesser spotted eagle, just one of the 20,000 to make the trip south from Russia every year. Hobbies and honey buzzards head to Africa to hunt insects. Hawks go to hunt birds, eagles to catch mammals. And some, like these Egyptian and griffin vultures, to scavenge. This historic gateway is a major crossing point for many birds as they travel the international skyways in search of sun. The migrant travellers attract the attention of bird enthusiasts from all over the world. In a way, the birds have become ambassadors of the wild. But the bird spotters aren't just here for a holiday. By identifying and counting the flocks as they fly overhead, we can understand more about raptor breeding populations further afield. Falling numbers can give us an early warning of environmental problems on a global scale. And falling numbers is exactly what we're seeing time and time again. We should take note. Raptors are at the top of the food chain and act as barometers of the health of our planet. Worldwide, as wilderness makes way for farmland and the pesticides and pollution that accompany it, raptors inevitably go into decline. When poisons enter the environment, they're passed on through the food chain, eventually accumulating in the bodies of predators like these. Here they stay, gradually sickening the birds. Even if pesticides were banned in one region, the birds of prey that live there could still be affected as they complete their annual migrations. So, pollution, contamination, and habitat destruction in one part of the world can devastate raptor numbers on the other side of the globe. Birds of prey illustrate more dramatically than almost any other species the impact we humans have on the environment. We should remember that we too are at the top of the food chain, the ultimate predator. The fate of birds of prey is a pointer to our own vulnerability. Despite the continual damage we humans inflict on wildlife and the environment, raptors can sometimes offer a glimmer of hope. The last sea eagles in Scotland were shot dead in 1918. They'd been persecuted as pests and competitors for fish. More than half a century passed before people decided it was time to do something. Adult sea eagles never travel far from home, so once reintroduced, they're unlikely to stray. So man lent a hand, and in 1975, 82 fledglings were imported to the west coast of Scotland. The Western Highlands seemed to be to their liking. Sea eagles are adaptable. They eat a wide range of prey, from seabirds and fish to rabbits and carrion. And coastal otters have proved an unexpected ally, leaving scraps of food for the settlers. Sometimes the eagles even attempt to catch ducks, though with limited success. In 1985, 70 years after the last bird was slaughtered, the first pair began to breed. Since then, at least one pair has nested successfully every year in Scotland. But their numbers remained low, so over a 5-year period up to 1998, more fledglings were imported. It's widely believed that the population of sea eagles in Scotland is now self-sustaining. Scottish sea eagles are a fine example of what we can do for animals if we try. Nature's air force, raptors, are everywhere, and they're everything a bird could be. The unrivaled masters of the skies. They've reached the peak of evolutionary excellence. Beautifully designed to hunt with both speed and surprise. Their senses allow them to lock onto a target with deadly precision. A golden eagle can spot a hare from 2 kilometers away. And a peregrine falcon, a pigeon from 4 times as far. Ospreys use polarized vision to see fish through water and dive in, wings back and talons extended. Owls use asymmetric ears and a face like a satellite dish for stereoscopic hearing. Their eyes are 100 times more sensitive to light than ours, and they can rotate their heads 280 degrees to see what's behind them. They're the stealth bombers of nature's air force, ambush killers approaching undetected on silent, muffled wings. But there are jet fighters in this squadron too, and beautifully choreographed aerobatic dancers. Hobbies catch dragonflies on the wing. Hawks pass on food with incredible accuracy. Raptors make up 10% of bird species, but nearly all are threatened with extinction on a global scale. Although some have adapted to our urban way of life and others returned from the brink, birds of prey are barometers for the health of our planet. They're nature's ambassadors and symbols of our own fragile existence. Mankind's very survival may well depend on unravelling the secrets of nature's air force.